Today, I'm going to show you how to save tons of money by cutting, finishing, and installing your own butcher block countertop. Here's how to do it. Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to August Pine Workshop, and today I'm going to show you how to install a butcher block countertop for a kitchen island. I started off by measuring and marking exactly the length that I wanted my countertop. Then I used a fence, which was just an old angle iron, and clamped it down into place. Then used some blue painter's tape and used my circular saw with a fine tooth blade and cut my countertop down to size. I knew I wanted to round the corners of the countertop, so using my router I did a little test on one of the cut off pieces from the countertop. Next, it was time to do sanding, and a lot of it. So I sanded my entire countertop, including the edges, up to 180 grit, and then I used my router and started to round over my edges. After rounding over all my edges with the router, it was time to sand again, but this time with 220 grit all across the entire surface of the table. And here I just sanded down till everything felt nice and smooth and tried to go over any areas of imperfection created by the router. This next step is a big one, and I highly recommend doing it, especially if you're using a water-based polyurethane. So what I'm doing here is raising the grain of the entire countertop, just by applying a little bit of water and then sanding over the surface to get any raised grain off. Next, I used a tack cloth and got any of the little fine particles off of the surface of the countertop. To finish the countertop, I used a Varathane water-based polyurethane that could be found at any Home Depot. And I went across the entire surface and I did 5 coats on each side. I did find that I still had a little bit of grain raised despite sanding off my raised grain earlier. So I went ahead and sanded in between coats, and that got everything nice and smooth. Once I had applied all the polyurethane and left the countertop to dry, it was time to prepare my cabinets inside. I started off by drilling a hole with a 3/16 inch bit in all the corner braces of my cabinets. This hole is quite a bit bigger than the number 8 screws that I'm using, and that's to allow for seasonal wood movement as temperature and humidity changes throughout the course of the year. My wife and I moved the countertop inside, and it was looking great so far. So next, it was time to prepare for installing the braces that are going to help to support the weight of the countertop. Here, I'm cutting down some 6-inch pieces of 2x4s, and these are just going to serve as something for the braces to screw into behind the surface of the countertop. Next, I measured and pre-drilled some holes where I wanted the braces installed. And here you can see me installing the 2x4s and nailing them into place to give something for those brackets to screw into. And finally, it was time to install the brackets. These were super heavy, nice metal brackets, and I got them pretty cheap off Amazon. So I'll include a link in the description so you can find these yourself. Next, I got the countertop aligned exactly how I wanted. Once I had it in place, I clamped it down and then pre-drilled some holes through the brackets into my countertop, and that's where the screws are going to screw into later. For this project, I used 1.5 long number 8 panhead wood screws, and with some washers it worked perfectly for me. And all I did here was screw them into place through the holes that I pre-drilled. Everything was looking great, so it was time to reinstall my drawers and my cabinets. Once we got our drawers into place, it was time to step back and look at our finished product. And here it is, the final product. My wife and I were super happy with how the countertop turned out, and it cost us a total of less than $300 for the countertop, the brackets, and the screws that we used to install it. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, and check out some of the other content we have on our channel. Have a great day.